Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the GallowgateShots podcast and YouTube channel, and we are back with a instant live reaction to the Newcastle United Crystal Palace game. It is myself, your host today, Chris, joined by Mr. Harry Wright. Hi, Harry.
Hi, Chris.
People may recognize Harry. Well, recognize his voice from Extra Time and a few match
Extra
previews.
Time?
Not Extra Time.
How
Jesus.
Get it right.
Jesus.
Get the advertisement right.
Can he chatter? People might recognize Harry's voice from Can he chatter? And also, you've been on a few match previews, mate, to be fair.
I was a while ago, and then I just decided to sky for a bit.
You have been on a few, though. So we are here for a very quick live video there and to talk all things Newcastle United, and especially that 4-0 win against Crystal Palace. So Harry, let's just go right back to, let's say, half an hour before the game and discuss the team news. Eddie Howe's press conference said that there was doubts in the team in regards to mainly the strikers, and if any of them were fit, either the pair of them. But it was Callum Wilson who made the starting lineup, and Isaac was fit enough to be on the bench. Were you surprised at any of the choices that Eddie Howe's made today, or is it just business as usual? Obviously, we've got the cloud, which is over Tonali as well. Is Eddie, obviously, he's made the right decision. But at the time before kickoff, any doubts?
Not really, no. I think we've had the international break, and you've got players, and like you said, I think Eddie Howe said they had doubts. So it was kind of just up in the air, but we now have trust in our squad pretty much across the board. Maybe some of the players in the squad for Champions League games, the depth isn't there, but for Premier League games it is, especially when you come against Crystal Palace. And I don't want to sound snobby with that, but I think he made the right decision, and then he obviously switched it around, and I mean, I'm skipping way ahead, but he brought on loads of substitutes as well to get them some game time.
An abundance of substitutes brought in at the same time. But start lineup was Nick Pope, Kieran Trippier, Jamal Lascelles keeps his starting spot as well. Fabian Shaw, Dan Burn, Sean Longstaff, Bruno, Joe Linton, Jacob Murphy, Wilson, and Gordon.
Surprised at Murphy.
I think when we were discussing it, when we're trying to guess it and going through it before kickoff, I think Murphy immediately I probably was a little bit shocked, but then I think once again Eddie Howe's probably had one eye on the Champions League game, and obviously Miggy's most likely going to be starting in that. You would have guessed with Murphy starting tonight against Palace. But we'll speak about Murphy a little bit more because he's had a very good game.
He did.
Today.
He had a good game at all.
So just actually, we might as well just stick with Murphy straight away because it's the first real talking point. Jacob Murphy, the 4th minute, and he scores what we're going to class as like a cross / shot /
cracking goal.
Just hit it and see what happens. I'm not sure. Was it more of a clearance?
We haven't even watched it back.
We haven't, so I do apologise, everybody, that is obviously watching. We haven't watched the game back. We were there in St. James's Park, but we haven't looked back at the highlights. But from my seat, people know I sit in the Strawberry Corner and that area of the ground. So really, I should have a clear view of what happened.
Yeah, of everyone.
But I still didn't have that much of a knowledge about what he's actually done there. Somebody watching this live might be able to help us out a little bit more, but from my point, it looked more like a clearance.
It was so strange. I mean, I'm level 4 lasers, so where I sit anyway, if the ball's going towards you or away from you, you can never tell which way it's going. It can sometimes it's going up. And he kicked it, and I was following it for ages, and I was thinking, no, it's a cracking ball, that. And then it went in, and I was just like, like it was such a weird goal.
So there is a player running at the back post. I can't remember. I'm thinking maybe
Wilson possibly
at the back post. Then the keeper's just flat-footed and he's watching that just sail over. I mean, just tucks just behind the post.
It's lovely. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like
goal.
It's absolutely class.
It's just like obviously a looping shot, really, isn't it? And the keeper can't really do much. He's just completely misjudged that because really it did look like it was just going over the top of the goal. Then it just dips in the last minute. Obviously scores it, and all the lads start running towards the corner. Then the flag goes up. Then we'll have the delay which we used to see, but that early on the game, and we will touch about in a little bit more detail there. Obviously it's a great start going the goal up in the first 5 minutes of a game. But then obviously VAR steps in. Then you're thinking, well, here we go again. VAR award the goal, and once again we haven't seen it back, but I'm guessing it's pretty close because it took a while for them to come up.
Well, I saw it on the screen, and it was on by quite a bit. Like, to be fair, I mean the defender closest to him, he looked a mile offside there.
I think we're more looking at Trippier. I think
that's what I'm saying. No, Trippier was quite a way onside. I think it was the defender that was in the center of the pitch that was keeping them on side by a fair bit, like fair bit.
So yeah, but obviously we'll go 1-0 up, and that VR moment, and it took a couple of minutes there. Do you feel as if that took a little bit of the atmosphere away from the crowd? Because people that weren't there at St. James's Park today, and people that maybe it did come across on the TV, but it was pretty flat throughout.
It was, and quite frustratingly flat. I think that first goal didn't help. I mean, we were speaking before, and you were saying you kind of noticed it from as soon as the whistle went. Really, it was a different type of atmosphere. Don't know if it's because it's been international break or what have you, busy days at work and that, but no,
And
it
you've
was
got the Dortmund game coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah,
and that crippled all the next day.
But I also think there might have been a lot of resales as well, because of the weather that we've had over the last however long. People thinking, "Nah, I'm not risking that. I'm not doing that." I mean, it was fine in the end, but no, it was definitely flat.
It took a while. It did take a while. But it improved slightly. I don't really want to focus too much on the atmosphere because the fan base has been absolutely fantastic.
I mean, the flags
for years now.
They said that they couldn't really get as much as what they wanted
So
to.
there was no war flags display. Well, very minimal display from war flags because obviously the weather last night.
I mean, we say minimal, but there was still a fair few hundred flags.
Yeah, but obviously because of the weather, they tried to just sort something last night, but just couldn't do it. Because it is what it is.
It is what it is. Exactly that.
But yeah, Newcastle just dominated that game. They dominated from start to finish.
Yeah.
And when I said this to you walking over here, I don't think we will have an easier game this season.
No, I probably agree. I was saying I don't want to sound like a spoiled brat, but it was quite a boring game. I mean, yes, we scored 4 goals, but it was just they were bringing us nothing. Every now and then they looked dangerous on the counter attack. They'd get about 10 yards in front of the box, and then it would just disappear, the chance that they had. And then away we went again. I mean, we broke quite a few times. Gordon was exciting, but there was just some players that weren't there. We're speaking about Joe Linton. Like, he didn't have a bad game, but he had also nothing to do. There was no real competition.
Do you not think that's what it's down to, the fact that there's no competition there with the opposition? It looked more like a training run out for the lads. It really did. It looked like a pre-season game for them.
Well, I remember in the first half, I think it was, Ayew was coming down the right and trying to play Mateta. And that was almost like the turning point for Crystal Palace, because Ayew lost the plot, kind of threw his fist in the air. And then Crystal Palace took forever to get back into position. And then we were straight back on it and going again. And they just looked beaten, like, so early on in the game. And I mean,
it was very much of a display of what you would see a team towards the end of the season when they were coming up to a break. They had nothing to play for. They weren't going to get relegated. They weren't going to get a European spot, and they were just there for the motions. And that's what Crystal Palace were there. And I was really shocked. I know they've had a lot of injuries.
I mean, you are missing a lot of their flair players.
Of course you are. And obviously Zaha is not there any longer as well, who was the player that got them up the field. But they look a shadow of themselves. Like, I was really shocked by their performance because, like we said, that they didn't really sit back and absorb the pressure. They didn't really attack with.
There was nothing.
It was just bodies.
They were there. Yeah, exactly.
They were just bodies. That, like I said, it was very much of a training
The
session.
only thing they really gave us was a battle between Lascelles and Mateta, which I think would be a fantastic boxing headline. I was thinking that watching them, the absolute units, but even, I mean, Lascelles came out on top. I mean, he's a lump that Mateta that they have up front, but Lascelles every single time.
The one that was Trips was having a bit of a Barney with as well. Was
that someone else? There was loads of them that were having a bit of a Barney with players and that.
Yeah. But Newcastle, like I said, dominated. It wasn't until obviously just before half time where we're going to grab a couple of more goals. But it was all Newcastle in regards to, well, we're hitting them on I wouldn't even say on the break because there wasn't much of a break to hit them on, but we're controlling the play and we're working our way through the motions to get higher up the field, and we were
just smashing that right side,
that right hand side, like non-stop. And it was Murphy, Trippier, and Sean Longstaff.
Took us a while to get that ball right, though.
Yeah,
the amount of times it was going back post, and I mean, it's almost like I think there was one where Lascelles had just took a step too far, and it was just behind him because it was a fantastic ball by Trips. But that happened quite a lot where it was either overhit or just wasn't right. But we tried it a lot.
Sean Longstaff was finding himself in that same position he scored the goal against PSG. An abundance of times.
That's where he scored from today.
So he scored from it. But before that, it is Gordon that gets his goal. And do you know what I love about these goals, right? The people that go to down at halftime on like 38 minutes.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
like, just wait. And do you know what it is? My sister and brother were one of those that went down on the 42nd minute and then missed both of the goals which followed. So Anthony Gordon comes in. It's a well worked goal, isn't it? It's a fantastic team
unbelievable
goal.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've played well. I mean, like we said about that right hand side, the way we overlap to give support to players is sensational. Like Longstaff found himself in that position. You got Trippier down the right, Murphy's usually got the ball, and then Longstaff through the middle. It was just so fast. But talking about people leaving early, like that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Absolutely can't stand. I mean, if you go down, I mean, the queues are massive, yes, but just wait and go down with everyone else, and you'll get it sorted.
Yeah. The queues are massive, and also the card machine stopped working at half time this time around. So that you're still in the queue, getting to the front, and
it's never plain sailing, is it?
You've got to pay cash. But that's a whole different topic. But yeah, Gordon gets his goal. He missed one earlier on where it hit the crossbar. Very similar position, to be fair.
It was a weird. I think it took a deflection, didn't it?
It just came, so
came up in the air,
and it just landed at him. Like it just came out of nowhere, just landed at him.
Because from where I saw, I was like, "How has he not scored that?" Because it looked like he could have
went in for a corner afterwards, I think.
Right.
But Gordon gets his goal. Then not long after, it's another team goal in regards to Callum Wilson does unbelievably well. Just to be a nuisance like Callum Wilson is.
Yeah.
And he was doing it all game. It was quite a good competition between Callum Wilson and the centre backs, because this goal that we're talking about, he just backs into him. Then the player he backs into him. Then he moves. Then the player then goes to get the ball and just stumbles.
Yeah.
And he just falls over, and Sean Longstaff's there just to pick up the pieces.
That's a brilliant finish, by the way.
Unbelievably composed.
Just took his time and knew exactly where he wanted to place it. I mean, maybe Sean Longstaff of old would have just looked to smash it, but he's waiting and waiting. I was thinking, what's going on? Like, it felt like it took an age, and then just placed it past the keeper. Waited for him to make a move, and then did what he had to do.
Yeah, unbelievably composed, and you know what it is from Longstaff? We're getting that goal scorer midfielder now.
Yeah, I mean he's the arriving late at the minute. I mean, it was Joe Willock when he signed, and then a bit further on, now he's injured. But Longstaff's the one that's making that bomb and run through the middle, which either takes defenders out of the game, or he gets the ball and he has a chance on goal.
Yeah, I think it's obviously when he's running through into the box as well. He's got an option to pass it. I think it might be Gordon again, maybe. That's just there hovering around about the back stick. There's another player waiting. But obviously Longstaff just thinks, nah, I'm hitting this.
Putting it away.
Obviously puts his throw through it, straight past the keeper. And that's 2 goals in 3 minutes at the perfect time.
Yeah.
So just before the half-time whistle, and we're 3-0 up.
That's
without breaking a sweat.
Literally as well. I mean, that's like a perfect time to score, because they can go in at 1-0 and think, right, regroup, let's get it sorted, we'll go out again. But they went in defeated, like 100%. They went in defeated, and we deserved it. They showed nothing.
Yeah,
for us to be worried about, really.
Just to quickly go through the second half, because the second half was much of a must. There's nothing really happened.
The game was finished, wasn't it?
Yeah. The game was completely dead at that point. Newcastle 3-0 up, and Palace, I think it was late on the game that they had a shot on target. I think it must have been about the 70th minute or something.
The free kick?
There was one before that. I think there was one just before.
Was
that.
there?
Yeah. But that, yeah.
Bottom corner, bottom right corner.
Yeah. But yeah. Here we go again. So Callum Wilson, he just scores goals, doesn't he?
So, but talking about composure, that's like the perfect kind of Callum Wilson goal. Like the type of player he is. But I think the goal is Jacob Murphy.
It's not.
Oh, the pass from Dan Burn?
Nope.
No?
The goal is Trips. Trippier literally pings, like he just glides that across and puts Jacob Murphy in.
What, from right back?
From right back.
Did he? Was it a pass beforehand from Burn that went across the pitch?
I'm not sure if it was Burn or Pope that passed it across.
There was one that was unreal. I thought it was
that. It may be Burn, but Trippier gets that. And honestly, from my seat, the view that I have that pass,
it's perfect.
So Jacob Murphy's running with back against the ball. Then Trippier looks up, and he just glances past the side of his right boot.
Runs into it.
Murphy just runs into it.
It's a great ball though from Murphy as well.
It's great for Wilson. Timed perfectly. I think he'd done it just before. They had tried it just before it as well.
Yeah, they had.
Cleared it. But as team goals go, that's another one which is.
Yeah, I mean it's so fast though. How fast we can get from defense to up the pitch. I mean they would outnumbered massively on the counter attack by a long way. But the touch from Wilson, it comes in and he takes his time. Keeper's coming out. And I think he puts it to the right of the keeper. I was expecting to go to like the left hand side of the keeper, but puts it to the right and as easy as you like, really.
But like we said, it's great from well, all three really. If you're looking at Trippier, then that ball from Murphy, then Callum Wilson just to be as
His
good
last kick of the game as
yeah,
well.
yeah, it was. Yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, it was. Because obviously
They were all on the bench. I
substitutions-
thought they'd go back because there's times where you see a striker and then
yeah.
sometimes they might be go on, they'll go back and sit down. Because I think it was Miggy and Isaac that were out at the time.
So at the
when
time,
we scored.
yeah, you're right. So there's 4 subs made straight after that. Well, is it straight after? No, we'll kick off then. It's the next phase of play.
Yeah, it was when they had a corner or something.
So it's Isaac, Miggy, Tonali, and Livramento
That's correct.
all come on.
Yeah.
So it was, if I remember right, Wilson. Oh, I've got all already. So Wilson, Trips, Bruno,
and Gordon.
That took
me. Yeah, that took me a while as well.
Gordon. That's just saving players for Wednesday night. That.
Yeah, they're important players for us. So it absolutely makes sense for them to do that. The game's finished, and you've got nothing to worry about, really.
Yeah. No, you're right. And do you know what it is? Trippier was blowing out of his arse at this point as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't say that. I mean, you're sat on that side.
Absolutely knackered.
He had a fantastic game.
Shifting.
He had a fantastic game. He was up and down constantly. And there was a tackle, just to go back. I mean, this is early. I think this is the first half, where it looks like he's backing out of a tackle for ages because the Crystal Palace player had the ball and he wipes them out and both of them come off like worse for wear.
Twice he done that. He just absolutely
so good. So good. His position and his awareness is the best we've probably had, I'd say, in that position at Newcastle. Yeah. I'm how old? So I've only ever seen like Debussy and whoever else, but nah. Yanmat, yeah, punching walls and that, but no, yeah, he's unbelievable and was so lucky to have a player like him at the team.
Wasn't that sub later on, which was Joe Linton went off and Anderson came on, if I remember.
Yes.
Right. That was the next sub.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's any more.
Which I was surprised about. I wouldn't have minded to see Anderson in a more attacking position, can bring Murphy off and Anderson on the left, just to try it out. But he did fine. He didn't really put a foot wrong, Anderson, like when he's in the midfield.
So you mentioned Joe Linton earlier. Not that he looked off the pace or anything, but he didn't really have much to do. That was probably a great game for Joe Linton.
Which didn't stand out as much because he didn't have his blonde hair, did he? So it was dead strange.
Like 3 times where I was like, I see, who is that?
Yeah,
who is that?
Couldn't work it out at all.
But yeah, it's a great game for him to come back, and obviously the back of the injury. Then when Joe Linton comes back from injury, you're always doubtful of think, is he going to be fit? Because he's a sort of player that just wants to play.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And we've seen the last couple of times he came on and got injured almost straight away. Definitely last time.
Yeah.
So it was a great introduction and a great game back because he's had to do nothing.
No risks. Yeah,
absolutely
exactly that. So it was a perfect game to bring him in and get him back to, I suppose, match fitness, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah. One thing which I want to touch on, if anybody does have any questions, just send them straight away because we'll go for another 5-10 minutes. So Tonali comes on the field. Great introduction for Tonali.
Yeah.
He has a great introduction when he's warming up.
That was a good one. I mean, it was a standing ovation he got, and then it went quiet, and then just above me, I don't know if the Gallowgate did it as well, but started chanting Sandro Tonali, and then he kind of had a moment of looking around and clapping everyone. And I think what he's done is wrong, but it's the right thing to do. I think it would be 10 times worse for him. I imagine. I mean, he's probably embarrassed. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It probably is embarrassing to come out and know everyone knows what you've been caught in, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I think it just shows that the sort of the back in which he's going to be getting now from the club and the fan base. It was highlighted today in today's game. Very much so at full time as well, where he was walking in front of everybody else. So
didn't say that. No, I was coming to meet you, so I left a bit earlier. You watched the motor around.
So obviously, every single game, win, lose, or draw, the lads do like a lap of honor sort of thing around the field. The players held off and just let Tonali do it in front of everybody. So he was about 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
All right, okay.
He spent a little bit of time in the strawberry corner, applauding the fans,
chanting his name and that as well.
It was just a nice little touch. And like I said, it's just great to show that as a club and as a fan base, we're going to support them.
I was going to say, I don't think there's much. The person I sat next to, my sister, she said to me, I was like, do you think we'll get
the person I sat next to?
My sister. No, so my sister, who I was sat next to, she was like, I'm concerned for what other clubs would say about the reception we give Tonali. Yes, he's done something wrong, but it's not outrageous. And you've got to look, if he is coming out saying he's got an addiction, then you've got to support him. And if clubs come out and criticize you for doing that, then so be it. Criticize us for the way we celebrate tackles as well, so be it. It's just the way we are as a fan base.
Yeah, no.
Get behind
get you.
them.
Of course I do. What I want to highlight as well, this is another GallowgateShots fact, which might not be a fact.
You got me
that
concerned.
Newcastle United are the leading goal scorers in the Premier League now. Scored the most goals.
24.
24
I think
goals.
that's a guess, but I think I'm pretty not far off.
And
9
actually
conceded.
Brighton, which was on 22.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I might be wrong. This is another wrong GallowgateShots fact.
You're really testing it today.
At this point of the season, no other team has scored the same amount of goals. And
who's that came from, though?
Amount of goal difference. I don't know where I saw that. I'm sure it's been put in the WhatsApp group. I don't know. I might be wrong. Probably will be, but I'm going.
It's a nice fact to go with,
because we are fucking mint.
We really are. I mean, we had a really bad start to the season. Actually, I don't think you can say we had a bad start to the season. We had some tough games.
Tough game,
and you have to start so fast if you're going to come against.
It was a tedious start of the season.
Yeah. And I didn't really have many worries. I mean, we're 4 points behind. We're 5th now, 4 points behind. Who's it above us? Not too sure. Probably not Arsenal.
Villa are just behind us, or Liverpool maybe?
Possibly, yeah.
I don't know. Well, you don't know.
No, we're like 4 points behind them, and we're not far off. We're going to come up against other teams where we're going to get wins. And I mean, I will just ask you actually, because I'm quite curious. Where do you think we'll finish this season?
Ooh. At the start of the season, I had
putting you
doubts.
On the spot.
Yeah, at the start of the season, I had me doubts to see if we could have as a good a season as what we did previously.
Yeah.
I think we'll be challenging from exact same positions where we're 3rd and 4th.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Tottenham looks strong. Arsenal looks strong.
Yeah, so do we.
Okay, I'll sit with that. I like that.
So the current league table as it stands, Newcastle sat in 5th, played 9 games. You're there on 16 points. You have Arsenal just above us on 20 points. Also Spurs on 20 points. Liverpool on 20 points. Liverpool's played 9 as well, but Spurs and Arsenal both only played 8 at this moment of recording.
Well, Arsenal are playing Chelsea at the minute, aren't they?
Yes.
So it depends on what happens there.
But yeah, that's as it is. So we're doing well. We're doing really well.
We'll probably mix into them. To be fair, what you were saying, we probably will start to get closer to them, and I think there'll be a start, kind of like a pull away from your kind of your 7th.
Yeah.
And that group will start to just fight between each other, really. Which is what I hope happens, and it'll be a bit surreal because I mean, last season was, I've said it plenty of times, it was a novelty thing. It was, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But then it'll be this season, it'll be like, all right, okay, like this is when we can start to see the progression of the team.
It's a target now.
Yeah, exactly that. And we just need to be, the realistic targets are to be challenging for Champions League now, which is scary to say, but also amazing to say.
So we'll have 2 questions in. We'll go through these 2, then we'll call it a day. So the first one is from one of our GallowgateShots members. It is Fish and Rods. If you want to become a member, it's just $2.99 a month as well. So Fish and Rods says, team for midweek. His is Pope, Trips, Lascelles, Shaw, Byrne, Longstaff, Bruno, Joe Linton, Miggy, Isaac, and Gordon. So the 2 changes there are Miggy and Isaac coming in.
Yeah.
For Wilson and Murphy. I haven't got a clue. I honestly haven't got a clue.
I like the sound of it. I don't really. You can argue the fact Tonali comes back in, but why? I like the fact of Isaac playing. To be honest, it's against his old club. Played for Dortmund a while ago. I think he was only there for a little bit. But
did he actually?
Yeah, Isaac was.
Never knew that.
It was at Dortmund. I mean, that was what, like.
Is this one of these GallowgateShots facts again? That might not be a fact.
No, this is definitely true. I mean, someone tells. I'm sure this is true. It might be in 2016, 17-ish. But yeah, he played for Dortmund, so I wouldn't mind to see him start. Just because I think I prefer him up front to Wilson, and I think against a team like Dortmund, who are probably going to be playing quite a high line to try and press us into it, then he's going to be able to get behind that because Wilson's lost that yard of pace. Everything else, I mean, we haven't even mentioned Lascelles. I mean, Lascelles has been getting credit off people, but he's been very, very good. Has not put a foot wrong. There's not been a moment where I've gone, oh, Lascelles, which used to happen a lot. I just think I'm confident with him at the back, and it's nice.
One moment in today's game, which I made that noise.
When you had the ball for too long?
No, it wasn't Lascelles. Nick Pope came out and done a head clearance, so he headed it up and it just looped. It just kept on going
50 pence head.
But then as it started dropping, he's then in his brain went, I'm going to then do it again. And he started running towards it again. And I was like, oh my.
Please don't. Every time, I mean, before Liverpool, I'd go, all right, Pope's cleared that. And then after that Liverpool fiasco, every time Pope makes any sort of movement forward, I think everything apart us inside us shrivels up. Like, it's horrible.
Final question.
Mm.
I'll grab it and put it on screen. This one is from Anthony. That's his.
Gordon.
Well, this is who was your man of the match? His was Murphy.
Murphy. Absolutely
Same for you?
Murphy. I think he was very, very good. And those attacking runs that he makes, he's non-stop. He's what I used to like about Dwight Gale. Bit of a dog, just constantly getting at them, making the runs, like kind of pushing that line back as far as he can. Absolutely Murphy for me.
Okay.
For you?
I've got two. If I'm gonna think outside of the box and take it away from Murphy, Longstaff, I thought Longstaff had a great game, a really good game. Longstaff, I think he just keeps on getting better as
He
the
does,
week goes
yeah.
by. And Trippier.
Yeah, but that's a given now, isn't it? Like he's just
Like people use the phrase that the player's always a 7. Trips is normally always like a 9.
Yeah,
like he's getting
he's
in that habit where he's
unbelievable.
just
The only thing that I've noticed about Trips is that people go, his set piece deliveries and his balls are getting worse, but that's because he's plays at such a high level all of the time. That's normal, like to be misplacing passes and things like that. But he's usually so on the money that people are now noticing that a little bit more. I mean, today, but he didn't give up today. That ball he tried numerous times to the back post, and then it was Murphy that got it away really when we scored. But Trippier is just from a different planet, and for the age he is, still playing at that. I mean, he's not old, but in football in terms,
attacking fullback, isn't he? So,
in football in terms, pace, things like that, he's maybe on his way, but no, he can stay with us forever.
One of the other players which I just want to mention, and do you know what it is? This player just does not get as much credit as what they deserve in the world of football. It's Fabian Shaw.
Ridiculous.
He's a fantastic looking specimen of a man, but he's an even better footballer.
Definitely.
He's great, man. Like, what did we pay? 3 mil or something daft like that? Wasn't much that we paid for
3 mil, from
and just look how far he's came as a footballer.
Was Basel he came from? Basel? Is it Basel?
Yeah, so he's came so far as a footballer from obviously under the days of Steve Bruce, where yes, he would have good games under Steve Bruce, but then
I love his mazes.
Like now, just look at him now.
Yeah,
man.
but I just love when he picks the ball up and he's just bored of
Yeah.
passing around the back and he just runs
Just
in a straight line.
Himself, isn't it?
Yeah, but people don't tackle him. He just keeps running and running and running and running, and I absolutely love it.
It's probably was Deportivo that we came from.
Deportivo.
I'm just believing you, fishing rods. Who's commented
Fair
and
enough.
saying that? This is what I do wrong. I tend to believe all the comments that come in, and I read them out on screen.
Best way to do it, innit? Best way to do it. Just blame them.
Anything else which you would like to add to this one?
Not really. Not from me.
So we will be back throughout the week. Obviously, you've got your match preview coming up for that Newcastle v Dortmund game. You will also have the Always Man Faces podcast on Monday night. I'm sure there's going to be some form of FIFA video this week as well. The Pro Clubs video, which we put out last week, it's gone down a treat as well. People enjoyed that. If you do like this sort of content, just like the video. It's all you need to do. Become a subscriber, helps us out massively. If you want to give it extra bit back, like I said, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member, and it helps us out massively. You get early access to videos. You get your very own videos. You get access to the Telegram group. You also get access to the Discord group. The Discord group is like a gaming community, but it really helps with the FIFA. Randomly, and this is unbelievably random, and the chance of this happening ever again are very slim. Our GallowgateShots Pro Clubs team on FIFA got put against GallowgateShots members who had started their very own team as well. That'll never ever happen again.
The stress of that game.
That was, my stress levels were through the roof.
Absolutely.
They really were.
Back to you next time.
Or listening to the audio as well, just give us a 5-star review. Helps us out massively. Leave a comment as well. Thanks, everybody. We shall see you next time. I'll see you on Monday night as well. What you guys doing? Ta-ra.
See you later.